Greetings, all praising the King. Welcome to Eyewitness, where we reason to discover truth before we encounter some noise or attempt to cover some ground. Speaking now about the bltg movement. Yes, bltg. It's artificial. This is really a form of witchcraft. You can get the human animal to be attracted to and obsessed with almost anything, as now we're seeing. The method is to present that which you choose to be the attractive object as attractive. If you can make the appearance that there's a demand for something, it could be, little booties, it could be big booty, and yet as generations change, you see how these minds are so quick to adapt. So how is it that these artifacts are made popular? Through the device, of course, the screen. We've spoke about how when people see images and hear language, they translate this to thoughts, and people are only able to process one thought at a time. So when they're spending most of their time looking at a screen, they're going to think about what they see, what they hear, and that will become who they are. Because without brains, without the ability to think, we're not distinguished from one another intellectually. So there's an effort to feed information to people to affect the way they think, which in return becomes their behavior. Now, why would anyone want to affect other people's behavior? Perhaps the people being affected are serving that individual or institution somehow. That those people in control, over these processes now have power. How does this fit in with the bltg? We see today this movement has grown. We're hearing about academics introducing this lifestyle to children as young as 5 years old. These are mandated programs. Who's doing the pushing? It could be people that themselves identify with this movement. Nevertheless, how did they obtain their positions of power? And why? So, as a result, as in most everything we've discussed, there's an outcome. Someone is looking for this outcome to benefit them. Now, how would this, bltg culture benefit someone? what is really going on here. We have in many of these so-called developed nations cultures of consumption. Some nations do not pride themselves on this because the consumptive cultures do the providing for them. So there's no need to push this culture onto those in their geographic regions. They push it onto those elsewhere, and they benefit from the investments in those areas. You know, the result of consumption is destruction of the planet, all life species. The whole basis of this economy that man continues to put above people is the resources, people included in on that. He seems to forget, where he comes from. He's looking to benefit from the actions of others. This lifestyle endorses consumption. It advances industry. You have the body parts industry, artificial body parts. Man, he's stuck because the resources have become so limited and vital in his operations because of the depletion. He's at a point where he's really stretching, like gasping, and looking for any kind of way to make money, to promote any kind of new industries. He relied in the past on, selling drugs, tobacco, killing people, with cancer. And people began to wake up and think about this, from a broad perspective, to kind of do some measuring with other circumstances, and discovering, injustice. And so man's looking, for new ways to make money, to fill in those gaps. And this body parts, cut your Adam's apple, or you tie your wiener up, is one thing that is for now is providing an avenue. And not only that, but it also provides for incentives for these individuals to continue to work, for him. And there's a need for incentives because these people are not satisfied. The biggest, I'm hoping, takeaway that the people get from this is that this is unnatural. Now, people may say, well, what is that? And we have plenty of things that are unnatural, and we're still here, and they even provide more convenience for us, stuff like that. So the response would be that, it's short term, as we discussed. This industry with body parts and everything is short term. There's a need for an incentive to keep these people moving because their attention span has gotten so weak. They have no patience. And so, now what happens, because man is looking for that short gain, is there's an expense it comes in the long run. Now, most of man's governments are protecting man against this. They're the apologetics. They're looking to find excuses, cover up the blood, the innocent blood that man has spilled. And they're very good at this. They've had much time to practice. And once man, squeezes the earth out of the resources, these governments come along and they say, oh, it was inevitable. There's a sixth extinction and it was just going to happen. Just more or less selling a lie. That's what it is. You sell a lie. There's some truth, yet the most important aspects are left without mention. As long as people are feeding into this screen, they're going to be attracted to whatever they're being shown. And they're going to think that they could be more attractive too. People are looking to be more attractive too, because it means an easier life. I mean, let's get real. The most oppressed, some of the most oppressed and hardened, heartbroken people have not disability. As a sensible society, we would actually think about this and actually provide for those people. But like this monkey business is supposed to be the way of providing it, because it doesn't matter what you look like. As long as you got money, you can have everything you want. That's what they're selling. It comes at a price. Now, the BLTGs are going to be the first to take the chip. This is, moving in that direction. This is only the introduction. The gateway, we'll call it.